to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Let the record show that all members of the City Council are present. There is a copy of the Open Meetings Act posted in the meeting room and is accessible to the public at any time during the course of this meeting. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. First item is item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on June 6, 2016, as on file in the City Clerk's office. Item E, approval of Treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $777,651.01. Item G, approval of change order number 1, decrease in the amount of $2,790 for the Hannibal Park Ball Fields 2016. Item H, approval of change order number 1, an increase in the amount of $7,050 to R.L. Tiemann Construction, Inc. for the flood debris removal 2016. Item I, approval of change order number 1, increase in the amount of $140.80 and final payment of $46,646.60 to the Road Guy Construction, Inc. for the Armor Coating Project 2016. Item J, award bid from Pavers, Inc. in the amount of $62,924.48 for the curb and gutter replacement 2016 project. And item K, resolution number 5923, entering into an agreement with Cassell, Inc. for the purchase and installation of the utility backflow management software as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Any item a council member wants removed from the consent agenda? Anyone from the public? Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I move that all the items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Morgan, that all items under the consent agenda be approved. Your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. 8-0. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on the new application of Denise Paul, doing business as Tall Tree Tasting, 122 North 5th Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a Class C liquor license. That public hearing is open. Our chief is here. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do. The police department did its routine and customary background investigation, and nothing was uncovered which would preclude us from recommending this liquor license for continuation.
Any questions of the chief? Also with us is the report from the building inspector. Counselor, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Chief Building Inspector Rob Merrill cannot be with us tonight, but I did go over his planning report in regards to this application. Nothing found out of the ordinary in regards to the application, the primary zoning in the area. This will be located at 5th and Ellis Street on the southeast corner. Predominantly all the land uses around our central business district in all directions. The general neighborhood is primarily retail and offices, and we did do formal, and it's included in your packet, measurements to ensure that our primary concern in regards to schools was the Beatrice Middle School. It is less or within the 150 feet designation, so that's fine. And then in regards to elderly care facilities, our next one was the Kensington. We did measure that one out as well, and is within the statutory distance. So we have no concerns on the planning department.
Okay, very good. Any questions of Mr. Butcher? Anyone in favor of it or opposed to it? Sir? Denise, did you want to say something? Any questions of Denise Paul? Denise is
This is kind of deja vu for me. My first job was a reporter for the Fairbury Journal News, and Jane White was my boss. So I have been to several of these before, and it brings back memories because the last one I was at, my hair was much lighter and I was much skinnier, but so I guess I've aged and hopefully matured this last.
Life got in the way a little bit, didn't it?
So does anybody have any questions as far as what we'll offer?
You want to tell us?
I have a map if anybody would like to see. In 2017, when the maps come out from the Nebraska Wine Passport, we'll have a little dot by Beatrice, Nebraska. And so anytime I think there's a dot on an economic map or a tourism map by Beatrice, Nebraska, I think that's something that's very positive. So probably we'll have between 30 and 40 different types of wine. I have 6 wineries right now that I'm in contact with, and they're really excited about providing wine for us. And then our building will be divided into 2 areas. We'll have a tasting room in the front that will be open, and then I'll have a private room that can be rented called the Vino Room in the back that will have parties, anniversary parties, etc. Right now I'm developing a party guide with various businesses because I think us being new to the community, that would be helpful. And also, many people the parents live in the community, but their children live away in Kansas City, Chicago, Omaha. And so they may not have lived in Beatrice. So who do you hire as a caterer, a florist, or a cake decorator, etc.? So I'm putting that together. My husband and I are really excited. This is Plan B. I'm going to retire from teaching with all my hair. And so this will be something fun for us to move into. So.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Any questions of Denise?
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Denise. Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I move that the public hearing be closed at 7:06 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Mr. Kerr, that the public hearing be closed at 7:06 p.m. Your vote, please. That is approved 8-0.
Mayor, I move that the application of Denise Paul, doing business as Tall Tree Tastings, 122 North 5th Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a Class C liquor license be recommended to the Nebraska Liquor and Control Commission for approval.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbach, that the application of Denise Paul, doing business as Tall Tree Tastings, for a Class C liquor license be recommended to the Liquor Control Commission and approved. Any further discussion? All right, your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Thanks, Denise. Next item on the agenda is a resolution number 5924, establishing rates for garbage, refuse, and rubbish collection, removal, and disposal.
Mayor, I move the resolution number 5924 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Been moved by Catlin, seconded by Cook, that resolution 5924 be passed and adopted.
Now that we have signed the hauling contract, we have this resolution that comes back. This one actually sets what the rates will be for the landfill. So you see in there on page 65 of your packet, we have the collection fee. That is the fee that the hauler charges us. The landfill fee is the fee that the Boswell charges per household. You'll notice that in July 1st, those fees go up to $9.10 for the hauler, $5.50 for the landfill, for a total of $14.60, a 30-cent increase from where we're at today. And then we have the hauler's numbers in there from pursuant to the contract. The landfill fee increases again in 2018 by a dime and another dime in 2020.
Discussion?
I don't have
Ted?
a question, Tobias, but reporting it with the paper, we are considerably under what surrounding communities our size are. In Lincoln, for the 2 times twice a week pickup that most of them don't get. And so I guess if you have that information, if you shoot that over to the paper before they write the article, because that's the thing I always get questioned about from people. How do we compare? And my short answer is I know we compare very favorably, but I don't have that information in hand for them. So.
Correct, and I can do that. I think it's probably been maybe a year ago or so before that information went around to other city administrators, but
yeah,
we've got that information at the office.
Yeah. So before you write your article, if you Tobias, so get you that thing, so it saves all of us some phone calls. I guarantee. So
Makes that 20-cent raise a little more
Yeah, well, trust me, yeah, I will. It's, yeah, you'll be surprised, so, there you go. I didn't really have anything else.
Any other comments from anyone? The public? All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. That is approved 8-0. Resolution number 5924 has been passed and adopted. Have no ordinances tonight. The next item on the agenda is a public forum. Purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the City Council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the City Council at this time. Is there anyone that has anything for the public forum tonight from the public? All right. Item 7 is discussion. We have the City Administrator's monthly report.
Sure. Again, you have the monthly report in the packet. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. A couple of highlights we want to point out. Sidewalk Improvement Program, we've had 19 applications so far, but we still have a little over $38,000 that are unallocated. So if you have anybody out there that's looking to do a sidewalk program or thinking about whether or not to pursue replacing or installing part of their sidewalk, certainly take advantage of that program. Hannibal Park ball fields, if anybody was out at Hannibal Park this last weekend, you'll notice it was a busy weekend. We had Class C state, I think, for 8s, 10s, and 14-year-old girls out there. And so we had, I think, somewhere about 70 teams out at the ball fields. In addition, you'll notice that we have the 2 new fields being started on the north end. We had some trees that had to be removed to make the fields, to be able to get the fields into their locations. And next thing will be is you'll see the fence start going up, the grading work's being done right now, and so those will be hopefully up and playable by next spring. You'll also notice if you're out at Hannibal, between fields 4 and 5, the north 2 fields, protective nets being installed. For those who've ever been out and sat at those fields, they know they sit kind of close together, and if you sit in between them, foul ball territory is a problem in that area. And so the Girls Softball Association donated $8,000 for us to install a safety net in that area so you can watch the game and not worry about being conked in the head by a foul ball. So 2nd Street Museum project, we got approval from the Gage County Historical Society. They did sign off on the new plans, and so they approved those. That's been submitted to Department of Roads. So that project is moving forward. We're still looking at a bid letting sometime this fall and winter for construction again, starting in this spring of 17. As that project's moving forward, James Burrows is working on our 2nd Street project and looking to have it bid at the same time. And so you can hopefully get a contractor that will match the 2 of those projects up together at one time. And then there's been some questions out there about ditches and what's our policy as far as mowing those. The city stopped mowing ditches. Largely they're located in the west side of Beatrice, but the city stopped mowing those ditches about 3 or 4 years ago. And so if you do have one, it is your responsibility as the property owner to take care of those and to make sure that the weeds are cut and the grass stays mowed.
The sidewalk program, have we given anybody a nudge on that? I mean, as the building inspector has gone around, there's some places that should have sidewalk that don't. Have we contacted the property owners and said, we got a sidewalk program. You might want to get in on that.
I think Rob has. I'd have to ask him to be certain exactly to what extent he's done that. But usually he's been pretty good at, kind of commenting on some other items that are out there. But to tell you that we went to XYZ house and made sure that they knew that project was available, that I can't tell you.
Yeah, I just think there's a couple commercial properties that out on the east end that don't have sidewalk that probably should. So
Residential all over.
Yeah, residential all over. But I just wonder if we were nudging anybody towards that. So I would say, and if we're not, I would suggest that we do.
I know that we have with some who maybe we're going to repair 1 or 2 squares. Hey, take advantage of this program, replace 5 or 6, and let's make it ADA compliant. Let's do some of those things while we're at it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Could you expand on that ditch mowing just a little bit to tell them that what's going to happen is with where we come in and mow it and we send out notices and how long they have, so they're very clear on that?
Right. I mean, the ditches, if you don't mow your ditch, it's the same as if you don't mow your lawn. Ultimately, what will happen is you'll get a letter from the building inspections department. They'll give you 5 days to go out and mow your property, in this case the ditch. If that's not done, then the city crew will come out and mow it for you and you'll receive a bill.
Any other questions
I follow up a little bit with this Hannibal Park thing with all the ball games.
Yeah.
I drove through this morning and it looked like a pig pen out there, but I drove through again before lunch and it was all picked up and beautiful looking. So our guys did a great job, which the ball teams would pick up after themselves. There was everything imaginable you could see laying around the ground, but the people got to it and picked it all up nicely.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear our guys were out there and did take care of it, and we'll work on the ball teams next time.
Was.
Any other comments? All right, you want to go right into the strategic plan?
Right. Another comment was a couple months ago when we passed the strategic plan, what was going to happen to it. You guys talked about having it come back for an update, kind of let everybody know where it's at. What we tried to do on page 148 of your packet is try to condense the strategic plan down to just a couple pages for you, so you don't have to remember to bring the whole packet every time. I do have mine, so if you have questions, we can kind of delve into a few things. Just kind of give you an update of where we're at. There's a lot of moving parts on here, and so there you'll see some that no activity's been happened yet, and largely because some of those are long-term plans or some other things have to happen first. But a few of them that we do have some movement on. One, getting the downtown on the National Registered Historic District list. The state has approved the application that has been submitted, and it's now waiting for the National Park Service to make their final decision. We're hoping for it in July. I know there's a statutory time period, and Michael has told me a number of times what that is, but he says usually they run a little long making that decision. But I think Michael Souther from Main Street was looking for that decision to be made yet this fall, for that determination to be made. The downtown Phase 1 grant is underway. The committee's been formed. They're meeting Wednesday, Greg?
That's correct.
And so that process has kicked off and it has started. We're looking to bring that to you by September for your approval. And then once we have that, we can go into and start applying for the Phase 2 grant. That'll come out sometime thereafter. We'll have to wait to see what DED's deadlines are on that one. If you remember, Phase 1 is the planning grant. Phase 2 is where you can apply to get up to $350,000 to implement some portion of that plan. Last time when we did Fifth Street. So we are moving forward on that one. Community aesthetics is a big part of our strategic plan as you read through here. The Highway Corridor Advisory Committee, I don't know if you're calling it that, but that has been formed. Essentially, the chamber has kind of gotten together with some property owners along each one of the entrances, north, south, east, and west. Greg and I are on there. Engage has got some members on, the chamber does. To sit down and just start talking about what can we do to make the community entrances look better, whether that's putting banners up or flags up or planting some grass or easing the curb appeal. Is some things like that that we can do to help it look more aesthetic as you come into community. We met last week, or 2 weeks ago. We meet again this week.
Where are we at with the welcome signs?
Welcome signs, we have them designed. We have a preliminary bid on them, but the bid number came in, estimated about $100,000, and so we're out looking for grants. Laura Young with the chamber believes she has $10,000 raised from some various sources, and so that's what we're looking for now, is to try to find funding. If you remember, in your budget, we had budgeted $100,000 out of LBA 40 funds to build that, knowing that we'd rather use LBA 40 funds to maybe do some other projects. We're looking for some other sources of funding to help bring down the city's cost on that project. So it hasn't been forgotten. It's certainly part of that aesthetics plan. It's just we're trying to find some funding sources.
Yeah, it just seems like we talked about it a long time ago.
It's been a while, but I mean, that's where we're at right now in that project. Let's see. The tree program, Retree Beatrice program, the first step we did was we updated the tree species list. That was something you guys did here, I think, 2 weeks ago. That was one of the action steps. We got that taken care of. We do have a tree program that we're working on. We have Xmark, who has agreed to be a corporate sponsor, and they have donated some money to that project already. Mark Pethot is talking to Ace Hardware, looking to see if they would like to be a corporate sponsor as well. And so once we get their final answer of, and I believe their answer will be yes, but we're trying to work that one out and exactly how it is their corporate office would like to do that program. Kind of what we have envisioned so far was if the homeowner goes out, plants a tree, and their property provides basically proof. I mean, something simple, a picture of them in the tree, something like that. The city then would plant a tree somewhere on city property, addition. So, Joe, you plant one at home, the city then would plant one. We'll let you kind of pick what park you would like it in. Often we have final say, but if you'd like to see something in Chautauqua Park, because that's the park you remember growing up in or whatever the case might be, the city would look to plant another tree there. And so again, Exmark has donated some money to that program. Ace Hardware is looking to be a corporate sponsor as well. We're trying to put the final details on that one to get that program up and running.
Yeah, Linda Grell's applied for a grant from UPS as well.
Yes, and the grant that she has applied for is a grant to purchase $5,000 or $10,000 worth of trees, and we would look to plant those along the bike trail. And into Chautauqua Park, we had a number of trees, if anybody's been on the park or been on the trail lately, that didn't make it from the last flood. I think everything along Veterans Memorial Drive, those bushes and trees there didn't make it. If you go into Chautauqua Park, you're seeing a number of trees that are starting to show stress that started last year during the flood, and don't appear as if they're going to make it. The other thing to keep in mind is the emerald ash borer has now been discovered in Nebraska. We have not a large number, maybe 5% of our trees are emerald ash, but most of them down Scott Street, ball fields, are ash trees, and so they will be dying shortly, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, but all those trees will be gone, and we'll have to have something to replace those. So
I asked Mark that, and Mark knew, and I can't remember, I think it was like 262. He knew the number right away of how many ash trees we had.
Yeah,
which I thought was amazing. So
There isn't any preventative maintenance.
there is some preventive maintenance you can do for the emerald ash borer. It's expensive, and you have to do it every year. And quite honestly, the number of trees that we have, it's kind of cost prohibitive.
Sure.
So this year down at Scott Street, you'll see some of the trees getting removed. We have a sidewalk program that we're going to go through there and add some sidewalk in. We're going to take those trees, some trees out between fields 1 and 2, and basically come back in and spade back in some trees. And so we have some bigger, more mature trees in that area, so you're not starting back over with the little tiny sticks and twigs that you see out there sometimes, to try to provide that shade, and also give us an opportunity to kind of grow the sidewalk around them, put some benches in, and do some nice aesthetics there. So he had a tree study done 5-6 years ago, Mark did, and that was the numbers we've kind of been working off of. And rental inspection program, this was something that came up, was to go out and do an annual inspections of all the rental properties in town. These would be residential rental properties. We have been looking at other communities that have done this. I believe La Vista and South Sioux City in Nebraska have done those. We'll probably look to bring that information to you at a work session sometime soon, so we can start talking through that process and see if that's something, how we want to construct that. Fiber, we've been working with a company on fiber, Allo Fiber, and I received a letter from them today requesting some additional information, and so we're going to get that to them, and hopefully have construction start sometime soon on trying to put fiber out to as many households in town as we can get them to. So that one is moving forward. And then on housing, we've had the housing summit that occurred last week. We had a good response there. And we have 4 RFPs that are currently out for various housing projects. Working on those, trying to get some developers to take a look at some of those and see what we can do to get them into community and start building. So that has certainly been a busy prospect as well. So outside, is there any particular one that people had questions on? We'll certainly get you updates on those, but
Any comments, questions, gentlemen? Anyone from the public? Tobias, thanks. Thanks for the update. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Our next regular city council meeting will be on July the 5th, 7 o'clock in these meeting chambers, and we will have a work session next Monday at 7 o'clock, and Bob, you will not be in attendance, correct? All right. With that, Mr. Catlin, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I move that the meeting be adjourned at 7:24 p.m.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbach. The Meeting be adjourned at 7:24 PM. Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Thank you, everyone.